Hello, this is David Crossett. I'm waiting. It's about 4:58, 5 p.m. My counselor, Holly, is going to call, and I'm going to record my counseling session with her. So my camera is going. I think it's recording. It's 4:58, and hey Siri, what is today's date?
It's Tuesday, April 14th, 2026.
And so now we have time stamped and dated. She'll be calling here in the next minute or two, and we'll be talking for an hour. And the things that I'm going to be talking to her on are some of my well, we'll let the dialogue speak for itself. The camera's running. She should call at any minute, and we'll go forward on counseling that this will count as memoirs number 6. The memoirs number 5 have not been taken off of the camera yet. So hopefully we'll get 5 and 6 up on my YouTube channel. So let's just give her a few minutes to call. Give it another minute or two, we'll see. Hey Siri, house red.
Okay.
Hey Siri, read my text.
Maybe Capital One set alert. Your $139.0 minimum payment on your Quicksilver credit card, $6,475, is past due. But you don't have to make the full payment all at once. Making a smaller payment or starting a payment plan can save on finance charges and help reduce your next minimum payment. Visit link to Capital Loan's Smart Link now to schedule a payment. Find important disclosures at link to Capital One TXT stop to opt out. Would you like to reply?
No.
That's everything.
Okay, it's 5:02. So my clock is about 2 minutes fast. So Holly should be calling at any second, and we'll go forward with the counseling appointment today. waiting. She's usually pretty timely. We'll see. She's really pretty timely.
Caller.
Hello, is this Holly?
This is.
How are you today?
I'm good, David. Thank you. I'm feeling much more chipper.
Good, good. You sound a little more chipper. Time does have a way of helping us, but you know, these are difficult times with the cat, and I understand that, and I hope that each day that goes by, it gets better. I hope.
Well, I just real quick, I had a dream about my Paris the other night.
Oh my goodness! Please share.
Yeah. Well, it was a really short, probably the shortest dream I've ever had. It must have lasted all of 3 seconds, but I woke up after. But I don't know where I was. I was looking over some wall, this white stone wall, and there was a woman riding a bicycle on the road above, higher up from this wall, and I didn't look at her, but in my mind she was like 30-ish.
Okay.
And in the front of the bicycle was a big basket with Paris writing in it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And then I woke up.
What time of the night was it? Do you remember it all?
Yes, it was that witching hour. It was 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Yeah, that's when the spirit world moves. And tell me, how did the baby look?
Well, and that's the thing that made me doubt it a little bit at first, is because I didn't really see her in detail. It was kind of like an all-knowing that I knew.
Yes.
That Paris was in the basket.
Right. It's telepathic. It's telepathic.
Right. And then later, as I thought about it, I thought, the way that woman's hair was flipped, because I didn't get to see her face, but my mother's hair looked like that when she was in her 30s.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
So was it basically a positive feeling that it's going to be okay?
Yes. It was like, oh my hell, she's having fun.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I'm so happy that you have that dream, you have that memory, and that assurance.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. I'm in a much better place. So
good.
How's your week been?
It's pretty been eventful. A lot of things have happened. I was in a dental chair today for 3 hours with crowns and implant surgeries. I got out of that okay today.
But hold on, 3 hours?
Yeah.
That's a long time. Did they have to put you on the gas, or?
I took the gas. The gas is not very effective anymore because the federal government doesn't allow enough gas to really be distributed. Really? Yeah, but anyway, that was 3 hours that I spent there, and I'm on some pain medications right now, but that went well. I had 2 boxes go to the Philippines Sunday night.
Nice.
Would you hold on a second? So that cost me whatever. Sorry. It was about $300 just to ship the boxes to the Philippines, and I had $1,000 or $2,000 of things inside the boxes.
Wow!
So that went off fine. That'll be delivered May 20th
nice.
to the kids there in the Philippines. And I did empty half of my freezer on the outside balcony. I called the old local bishop and he was told by the Mormon Church, when I was suing the Mormon Church, he wasn't allowed to have any contact or communication with me. But that suit has been extinguished now. So he came and took about 200 pounds of Meals on Wheels frozen that I had extra. I've been so blessed since I've left the Mormon Church. I mean, I just have more time, more money, more independence. If this is outer darkness, I should have done it much sooner. But he delivered it down to the food bank and brought the boxes back. I texted him, thank you very much, and that was a good thing. So
Yeah, that is.
And I don't know if I told you, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. National University in San Diego, Shane, texted me and said he did get my transcripts from my master's program. They were in order, and he registered me for admissions and basically said in the next 48 or so hours I'll get a letter of congratulations of being accepted for a PhD in
Psychology.
Psychology, right? So
Nice.
I'm waiting for that letter. And
That's
he
wonderful.
said my student loan information was all there, and they'd be calling me how much money I would be getting, and I would be applying for a 35% reduction in fees because of being handicapped, that they have a special foundation grant for me. And I haven't quite had time to fill that out because, well, because Mercy's not being real cooperative, but be that as it may. So I'm waiting for that. That's happy. I published 2 more books since you and I talked last, and I paid Mercy cash money to put those into Amazon, and she did that. And I've got both of those, and I've ordered a new book rack. This rack is full. I need a second rack put up. And you know, things have been very positive. Go ahead.
I was wondering if you are active in contributing to Sir David the Bard or the other one you have on YouTube.
Yes, they're both active, and I publish on them pretty regularly. Maybe once a week at least, sometimes more than once a week. I just had a long conversation with Christina at the arbitration board. I have a lawsuit against Toro Rent-A-Car Company that their contract was not visible and accessible to a blind person. And I had somebody else sign it for me, and now I'm stuck with mandatory arbitration, which could be a silver lining in the court case. So I have an active court case in Salt Lake City against Toro, and the judge has put that on stay until the arbitration decision. And so I've gone back and forth with the opposing counsel, Jim Barnett and Merrill. I can't remember, Brett Merrill. He added a new attorney to the Toro side. And so I'm negotiating that. I've given them a final offer of settlement of $175,000, cashier's check, if they want to settle within the next 48 hours. If they don't, then we're going to go ahead and litigate the case. And they're going to have to pay about $1,000 to $2,000 an hour to litigate. That's going to be their expense. I've received a waiver of fees. There's no expense to me. So, you know, one day is going to be $12,000 to $20,000 for them to litigate against me. So they may want to settle eventually. They may not.
Right.
I can't predict human beings. You can't fix stupidity. And Einstein said it very well. He said he knows that the universe and human stupidity are infinite, and he's not so sure about the universe.
Well, David, how many lawsuits total do you currently have?
3. I've got Toro, I've got Whipple Plumbing Company, and I've got Chat GPT. So
Right.
there's 3 right now that are up and going and being litigated. And the Toro lawsuit is in arbitration. And it's a little bit different court system than the federal court system, and I'm learning a lot about that.
Right.
So I've got about 10 books backed up at the publishers. Mercy has published 2 of those books for me. I paid her to do that, and she's learning to publish. It makes some extra money for her. And
Nice.
I would rather have her have that money than a stranger.
Right.
So her and I executed a contract today because I'm getting so busy. If I start that master's program, it's going to be May 4th that I start, and I
yeah.
have a lot of homework and a lot of documents that have to go back and forth between me and the university. And so
Right.
she has documented that she'll give me 1 hour a day of technical services. In
Okay.
exchange for that, I pay her $300 a month, and I pay extra for book publishing and extra for certain documents that take some extra time and trouble. So I'm trying to be fair with her, and
Right. Yeah, I was going to ask you how you're going to do the paperwork stuff, but it sounds like you're on top of it and have it all figured out.
well, I have it in process. The university has everything online, and because I'm blind, basically everything has to be verbal. So any
Right.
of the books, any of the readings have to be converted to PDF files, and then I
Right.
can hear them and then respond to questions and tests and whatever. And they have 2 forks that I can take. One of them is I can be a regular student online and have classmates and associates and whatever. And the other is that I can choose one professor that would be my key entry point, and he or she would be in charge of my entire program, help me with electives, take my tests, grade me, and advise me on the dissertation. And I'm going to go with the one person.
Yes.
You know, I tell people all the time, I can behave for about 15 minutes, but after that, people are on their own.
Well, no, I knew as little as I do, David, I would have suggested that one person thing too. When I did my master's program, I was in a group of 12 people, and they were all about 15 to 20 years younger than me. And as much as I got to know them and like them, I was there to learn and get my degree. And sometimes I felt like they asked dumb questions and they held me back.
Yeah, and you're right. I checked with Boo Boo. Boo Boo is AI with Grok.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I asked her last night, I said, how many people in the United States had a legitimate doctorate degree, 3 or 4 year degree with a dissertation, not something that you can buy on the website, not somebody that's Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Dr. Jesse Jackson, theology doctorates. I don't have a lot of admiration for. They're
Right.
people who memorize the Bible and are philosophical. They don't have to do research generally. And so
Right.
she came back and said, David, it's between 1 and 1.5% of the general population of the United States So basically 99% of the people I talk to and see every day and interact with don't have a doctorate degree.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And 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 this might sound kind of elementary or simplistic on my end, but and some of the doctorate people that I have met and rubbed shoulders with, yes, they're intelligent, but some of them seem too left brain, like they forgot about empathy or compassion, and they're unable to be emotionally
Well,
charged.
that's part of the scientific method. The scientific method is to prove the null hypothesis. And if you can't prove the null hypothesis and you have a probability of 0.05, that means that 95% chance what your hypothesis is true. And I don't use 0.05. I use only 0.01 or 0.001, which means there's one chance in 10,000 that my document information is coincidence or accidental. And I will hang my hat on that. But 0.05 is the standard. I did also contact Duke University. They're in North Carolina, I guess it is.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they have a journal, a parapsychological journal that I've asked them would they be interested in me publishing in their journal. And they did write back to me and said, yeah, we're kind of interested. Tell us what you're doing, how you're doing it, how we could help. How does your theory of sudden infant death umbrella or interact with parapsychology, which I can do. So that may be one of the first places that I actually publish in a legitimate journal.
Nice.
It's certainly not pediatrics, it's not Lancet, it's not National Geographic, but it is reliable. And
Wow.
and so hopefully, so I've contacted them and I'm working with them a little bit. And so it's been, a memorable week, a busy week. When I was under surgery, I stopped the doctor from cutting me all to pieces there in my mouth. And I said to him, if I paid you to fly to the Philippines, would you spend 2 or 3 days there helping the kids that I support with the food? And he said, well, David, I can't do it, but I have a friend whose wife went on a mission, and he went on a mission to the Philippines, and he does go over there once or twice a year, and I can hook you up with him. And if you've got ground transportation, which I do over there,
Yeah.
that he might be willing to line up those high school kids. I'm getting a hell of an array of children. I got videos back of about 18-month babies that were in line for food. And I also had 19, 20-year-old high school students in line. And I did have 3 or 4 adults that are helping divide the kids, line them up, get the rice into the bags and whatever. And I did give permission for those adults to get a share of some of the rice. So Mark, my publisher, said, because I pay him about $125 a book to publish, he said, David, I don't need the money, I don't want the money, I want to give it anonymously to charity. So I'm going to try to entice him into joining that money that I send, so that rice will be increased, because it's more than 54 kids now. It's pushing up to around 100 kids. And I can maybe use some of my student loan money if I get accepted at the university. They give me a housing allowance and transportation and whatever, and I'm certainly going to send that to the Philippines because I don't need it. And I'll certainly die before I have to pay it back. I don't know if that's honest or not, but I'll do what I can do.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to increase that. I'm trying to get a dentist over there, and the dentist said the dentist that goes over there, his wife went on a mission to Peru, and she is a pediatrician. So I'm thinking of letting them get a vacation on my dime, flying them to my island in the Philippines, lining up my kids, and letting her be a pediatrician to the little ones, and the man being a dentist. Mercy is missing 8 teeth. She's 54, 55 years old right now. And she said they started pulling her teeth right about sophomore, junior, senior in high school because they were infected. They had cavities. Their diet, doesn't have any vitamin D in it at all. There's no milk. There's certainly sunshine, plenty of sunshine. But anyway, the pain, when the doctor was cutting me, he'd given me several shots, and he said, are you still all right? And I said, yeah, I am. And then he reached in and cut, and I said, no, I need more pain shots. And then that brought me to tears, because in America, if I'm in pain, I can have it immediately fixed.
Yeah.
And I can be comfortable.
Right.
But in the Philippines, if you have a cavity, they don't do root canals, they don't do bridges, they don't do any kind of crowns or fillings. They just pull the teeth, but at least it stops the pain. And I wish that I could do some restorative dental for those kids. But if I can at least stop the goddamn pain, that is a goal. I don't want to see a 13 or 15-year-old boy or girl crying and crying when my Allison that I adopted here, when she got her wisdom teeth out. It was terrible pain. She cried for 3 or 4 days, and she was full of antibiotics and full of pain medication. But I can't imagine what it would be like to be in the Philippines having that kind of pain as a child, and there's nothing you can do.
Right.
There's no medication, there's no doctors, there's no transportation, there's no school. So, I'm doing what I can do. If I get that larger amount of money from Toro at 175, to me that's a lot of money. And I can spread that really, really well into that territory that I'm working in. I don't need the money. I don't need to buy gold toilet seats for myself, or get on TV and have the cheerleaders dancing with no panties. I'm kind of past that part of my life. So maybe Toro will help me feed some more of those kids, and I can get a doctor and a dentist over there.
Yes, yes. Well, so the area of the Philippines that you are serving, is it, what's that not Doctors on Wheels, the one where doctors go to Africa and...
Doctors across borders or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I had a bishop, Bill Jackson, in Ojai, California, when I was growing up. As he got older, he did join that group, and he did travel and do some good work that way. Bill Jackson was a good man, and he was my bishop for many, many years. So Doctors Without Borders, I think is what it's called.
That's it.
Well, there's 7,000 islands in the Philippines, and the one that I'm working on is Mindanao. It's the largest island outside of Manila area. It's the bottom of the Philippine Islands. And the person that is my boots on the ground is in a mountainous area. It's not Muslim. A lot of those areas in that area can be Muslim. And it's more difficult because of religious and political things. But the area that I've got boots on the ground, Rich, her husband is what's called a barangay captain. He is the mayor, the police, the judge, and the jury of the local municipality there.
Okay.
And he has a lot of power, and he's a good man. And she works for the school district there, and brings the kids out of the mountains that don't have any school and basically no food, no clothes. They're not quite tribal, but they're very close to tribal. They don't have any really dwellings, huts. You know, they may have a bamboo canopy or something. But we're grabbing those kids. They've never had a toy. They've never seen a doctor. They don't have a pediatrician. I have no medication, no dental, no medical, and most of them don't even attend school because there's no transportation. I can't fix that right now, but they seem to get the word around. We're starting to get a little bit of a reputation, and in these third world countries, telephones mostly don't exist. Electricity doesn't. Flush toilets don't, of course. But the community says, oh, we got rice down at the local Catholic church from the United States. And once that word spreads around, it goes through the community like wildfire. It's very similar, I've noticed, gender-wise. Females have an underground way of communicating. Males don't. Males don't really gather together and pass information. But females do. And once a mother knows that her child got some extra rice at the Catholic Church, they tell another mother, and pretty soon we started with 52 kids, but I think we're over 100 right now. I have on my video, I haven't moved it over to my website yet because Mercy hasn't cooperated. But the kids, I've seen them as just barely walking, 12 months, 13, 15 months old children, all the way up to teenagers. And so the teddy bears will be there in about 8 or 9 days, and then the rest of the food and what will be there on the 5th of next month. And so Mark is trying to get a projector. They do have electricity in the Catholic Church there. The Mormon Church won't do shit. You know that, and I know that. But the Catholic Church will let them use their building and their outdoor pavilion to pass out the rice and let the kids. I've sent them a basketball, a football, some soccer, outdoor equipment that the church will keep safely there for those kids to come down out of the mountains and play with each other. Even when we're not distributing rice, that they have something to do. So it's building slowly. I wish I had $1 million or $10 million, but I don't. But the widow's mite is the principle that I'm dealing with. I'm giving everything that I have. My freezers were overflowing, and the bishop came and fed the hungry and the homeless in Salt Lake City. The boxes went to the Philippines to feed those 15-month-old little baby boys and girls walking. I have a little boy there. His name is close to being Jared, and he has polio. And he has a wheelchair, but they can't use the wheelchair because there's no roads, there's no sidewalks, and the inside of their home is all dirt. But so he basically sits in a wheelchair. So I'm working on getting him a walker. I don't know if he can stand unsupported and move with a walker. So I gave him first choice on all the teddy bears that came in, and I'm having them check out their maybe sending a walker or buying a walker there in the Philippines for him to be able to actually get up and move around. So I'm sure I've got some other kids there that are disabled, but it's obvious because of his polio is so overt that you can see he's twisted in every direction. So we're all just doing the best we can. And
I want to ask you, David, have you always been this generous, this compassionate? I mean, as a young boy?
Yeah, I was born that way, yeah. When I was...
So rare.
Well, Heavenly Father does things and Heavenly Mother does things in their own way. I have, if you go to Cockroach Disability, my channel, I put on there, I've been in the paper. The first time I was in a newspaper, I got a bird. that broke its wing. I was 6 years old, and I nursed the bird back to be able to fly, and the newspaper just happened to come out and catch it, and they took a picture of me. And then when I was 12 years old, my parents were visiting friends, and the woman of the house came in screaming because the children were screaming, "Tammy is in the bottom of the pool." And the mother went berserk, jumped into the pool. The baby was at the bottom, cyanotic, not breathing. And she brought the baby out onto the side of the pool. And I had just graduated. I think I was in 11th grade, and I was about 15, maybe 13. But in California, in those days, we were required to take a mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. We didn't know anything about CPR, but we knew mouth-to-mouth. And I don't know, I just knelt down, and Tammy was, I don't know, maybe 15 months, maybe 13 months, totally cyanotic, not breathing, cold. And I started breathing into her, and I kept it up over and over, and pretty soon I could hear the sirens coming from the fire department and paramedics, and they came rushing down the staircase to the pool, and the head fireman said to the others, he said, "Just leave him alone. He knows what he's doing." And Tammy began to spit up water, and then she started to cry more and more. And so the newspaper, I didn't seek anything out. I don't need a validation. I am validation. But the newspaper thought it was an interesting article, and it's up on my cockroach disability.
Okay.
So Tammy grew up.
Well, I'm fascinated again because most of the clients I've had in the last decade have been fairly selfish, and and I'm not trying to put them down, but very rarely do I run across someone who cares about things, whether it's their own family or the neighborhood or the city or the country or the globe.
Well, I've been in several newspapers, not seeking it out, but people. I started group homes in Missouri for handicapped children. I got the candy removed from being next to the adult magazines in Westfield, Massachusetts. I had another situation coming from BYU to California when I was still at BYU. I came across an automobile accident, and the driver had fallen asleep at the wheel in the middle of the desert. There was nothing back in those days between Nevada and California. And a young lady from BYU got thrown out the back window of the car, and she was laying on the ground, and there was probably 8-10 adults standing around in a circle watching her die. She had severe head lacerations, her brains, and she was spitting up guts and blood. And I knelt down, and this one is a little harder for me because it did not end. I breathed and breathed and breathed, and every time I breathed into her, she would spit up blood and guts, and I'd have to turn her head, clear her mouth again, and breathe again. And I prayed, and I basically said, "Heavenly Father, could you please keep this person alive until she can get professional medical help?" And I continued to breathe and breathe, and pretty soon another car stopped. A lady got out and came over and knelt down beside me, and she picked up the girl's hand for a pulse. And every time I breathed into the girl, I would look down at my associate, and she would give me a yes. She's still alive. She's still breathing. keep going. And about 2 or 3, 4 minutes after this person arrived, I looked down and she shook her head. She said, no, she's gone. And I'd never had anybody die in my arms like that. I'd never been covered with blood and guts. I was in my white shirt and BYU attire or whatever. And when I looked down at her, she said to me, David, I'm a nurse in a trauma unit. This girl should have never even been alive. So I looked at that and I said, well, that answered my prayer. I had professional help there. She did stay alive until medical professional help came. And so, you know, I went over in the bushes and threw up because I was so nauseated with the blood and the guts and everything. So I've had them live and I've had them die. On another trip from BYU, I saw a man holding a woman down in a ditch, and I thought maybe he was abusing her. She was screaming and yelling, and they had a car that was turned upside down up on top of the road, and I went down and said to him, you know, what's going on? He said, well, this is my wife. And I said, well, what's going on? And he said, well, the baby. And I said, well, where's the baby? And he said, up under the truck. And so I went under the truck, and the baby was decapitated. And I threw a blanket. So, you know, these have been good experiences for me. I've had people live, I've had people die. I always tried to help them live, whether it was food, whether it was medicine or whatever. So,
but again, I'm not sure you understand how rare you are. I mean, I'm 70 years old. I've lived a long time, and very rarely have I met someone who not only talks about helping people, but actually does help them. You know, it makes me want to be more like that. It's very inspirational. It's a good Samaritan in reality.
well, yeah, I hope it is. I know that most humans, most carbons have sympathy. They don't like to see poverty. They don't like to see people hurt. And that's admirable for carbon beings. But I feel it. I feel it. It's not something that is just I feel bad, but I can feel their pain. I can feel their hunger. I can feel their fear. And again, you know, Jenny taught me an awful lot in 8 months. When you spend 8 months with a God, you learn a lot of things. And she taught me that my destiny it was always that this would be my last incarnation here on this planet, and that I was born between 1945 and 1965, and those dates are associated with certain creatures that were sent to the earth to stabilize it during a very turbulent time, whether, who knows, the second coming of Christ or just a civil war or World War III. But I spend a lot of time in justice. I don't like to see people taken advantage of, and I know instinctively what's right and what's wrong. When people present to me cases, facts, I have an automatic determination of what's fair and what's not fair. And so, again, I'm not looking for clapping hands, I'm not looking for trophies. When I've been offered those things, I've refused them. When I worked in my profession, I was Rookie of the Year at New England Life. They wanted me to speak at the convention, and I said, no, I'm not going to get up and speak. And then at Farmers Insurance, they had 500 of us in an audience, And the head honcho stood up and said, by the way, banks are now going to start selling life insurance, and a lot of you are going to lose a lot of your income. And I was foolish enough to stand up with my hand raised with a question, and they called on me and 500 other professionals. I said, well, I understand that we agents are going to lose some money, but what about you guys at the head of the corporation? Are you going to lose money?
Yeah.
And boy, my agent boss grabbed me by the seat of the pants, pulled me back in the chair, and he was not happy with that. So I do have a sense of justice, of what's right and what's wrong, and it's a high need in me to produce. I don't listen to people's words. I listen to their feelings. I look at their behaviors, and I'm not a judge, but I just want to alleviate as much pain and suffering as I can.
Right, right. Well, it's beautiful, and I just am inspired by it. I am, I'm in awe that you have the time and energy and.
Well, it's funny. I'm getting younger. There's no doubt about that. My foot healed, and the doctor said, David, it's a miracle. He said, I don't know how that happened. That foot should have been amputated, but it healed. And my memory is better. I sleep, fine. My blood pressure is perfect. My heart rate is perfect. My respiration is perfect. And
and you do all this blind. What if your eyesight came back?
Well, I might be able to do more. that'd be great.
I know.
But I've learned a couple of things. A man can never see anything until he's blind.
Yeah.
Man cannot see a thing until he becomes blind.
Yes.
And I had a really warm experience. My little nurse, Selena, she's about 45 maybe, cute little gal, sweet as can be, very professional, very highly recommended. She's come here for months and months now taking care of the open amputation that I still have on my left foot. And the other day, and she wrote me a letter of recommendation to the university as a nurse, and I was so grateful. And when I got rejected by Fielding University, I was discouraged for about 10 or 12 minutes, and then I reoriented. And then yesterday she was here, and I said, Celine, I never want to be anything inappropriate, and I want you to be able to absolutely say to me, David, absolutely not. I'm thinking of something. What is it? And she said, well, David, it's something that you need. And I said, yeah, okay. And she's growing and learning too. And she said, but I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. And I said, well, I want to tell you what it is. And then I want you to be 100% honest. I want you to feel no hidden agenda. I want you to feel absolutely comfortable saying how you feel, what you want, whatever. But I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you. Every time she's come, I've always sent her a message when she leaves, thanking her for her support and whatever. And I said, Celine, if you had not written me that letter at Fielding, I might not have had the courage to go and try at another university. And I just really would like to give you an affectionate hug. And I know you're a professional. I know that, there's certain rules, policies, procedures, and I don't want you to break any of those, but I really would just like to be able to give you a hug. And she just took, 4 seconds, and stood up and invited me to give her a hug, and I did. And that was very special to me, that I could feel that exchange of energy of her supporting me, and not romantically, but loving me and loving what I'm doing and participating. She brought all those teddy bears on her own from another client and saw them go in the box for the Philippines. So that was a very special moment for me. to have a professional nurse like that. Let me give her a thankful hug. And so, anyway, and that was kind of a special moment this week.
Yes, I love that. I think as humans we do need that. I went to a psychic once.
I remember you told me. Yeah, you said you had your hands read.
Well, no, this was a different lady, and my daughter had set me up for this, and the first thing she said was, you are lonely for affection. And she didn't know anything about me, and other things happened in that reading connected with my dad and whatnot. But the point I'm trying to make is I realized that I was somehow sitting back waiting for people to give me affection. How about I become more affectionate?
Right.
And I did.
Right, and it came back to you.
Yes.
That's what we in the quantum world we call that quantum physics, collapsing the wave. That when we change first,
Right.
the wave will collapse, and basically we become a new person, and then we begin to attract persons like ourselves. If we're loving, if we're kind, and we're considerate, forgiving, whatever, and we hold that, sometimes we have to hold it only maybe hours. The wave can collapse within hours. Jen used to be able to collapse it instantly, all the time. But we become a new person. And then we attract those kinds of qualities back to us. It mirrors right back to who we are.
Right.